Hello there, this is TPA017 and today I'll be going over some games that came out in July 2025. So this one is dog walking and Mahjong solving. Got a fair few interesting little titles to be looking at today, so let's get started. So I think there's about 14 or so. So first up. SurfsUp by Mark Arneman, or Bear Like Lion. This is a recreation of Counter-Strike style air surfing using DOGWALK, designed for both new and experienced players, multiplayer support, voice chat, rotating maps, and online or friend-only leaderboards as well. So let's have a look at the trailer.
SurfsUp!
Oh, tell him he do a good job, you know. Nice job.
And that one is for Windows, Mac, Linux, and that one is free. So system requirements, not too bad to be honest. Windows 10 or Ubuntu LTS, Intel Core 2 Duo, or an AMD Athlon, Intel HD graphics 5500, or AMD Radeon R5 graphics, and 3 GB of free space. Mac side is pretty similar, Mac OS 10.15 Catalina, Intel Core 2 Duo, or an Apple M1, 2 gigs of RAM, Vulkan or Metal 3 capable GPU, which is quite a lot of them, and 3 GB of free space. So yes, so that's that one. Let's continue on. Ground of Aces by Blindflug Studios AG. I don't want to try pronouncing AG because it's one of those long German words. Instant early access in July. Build and manage a World War II era airbase, creating buildings and cruising crew, and sending out of aircraft on sorties and missions, and defending your base against enemy attacks. Expected to be in early access for about a year. So that was Ground of Aces, available for Windows and Mac. They want to look at a release on other platforms, depending on how early access goes, but for the moment it's just on those two. Price $24.99 US. System requirements: Windows 10, quad-core CPU, 4 gigs RAM, a dedicated graphics card, and 2 GB of free space. Mac side is pretty similar: Mac OS 11 Big Sur, Apple M1 or Intel Core i7 at 2.3 GHz, 8 gigs RAM, AMD Radeon Pro 5500M, or 2 GB of free space. Pretty one. I'd like to pick it up myself when it's a bit more developed. So let's continue on. Islanders New Shores by The Station. So this is sort of a sequel, but more of a follow-up for the very popular 2019 title. New Shores features nearly 50 buildings plus a number of biomes and photo mode to help show off your creation. Very pretty little thing. So let's have a look. Sorry, that was having a bit of coffee. So platforms, quite a few: Windows, Mac, PS4, PS5, Xbox X and S, Switch and Switch 2. $9.99 US. So system requirements are honestly not too bad. Windows 10 64-bit, Intel Core i7, 4770K, which is pretty old at this point, about 10 years old. 4 gigs RAM, NVIDIA GeForce GTX 950, and 4 GB free space. Mac side pretty similar: Mac OS 11 Big Sur, Apple M1, 4 gigs RAM, and yeah, so pretty similar. You shouldn't have any trouble running it. DOGWALK by Blender Studio. This is a short little game. It's a bit of a kind of more of a tech demo. They would to see how Blender would integrate with the Godot engine and vice versa. You play as a large dog and interact with a snowy landscape made out of paper crafted models, while dragging a small boy around, helping or hindering him as it goes. So let's have a look. Yeah, short little thing, but yes. So platforms: Windows, Mac, Linux, and it's free. System requirements are honestly they're not too bad at all. Windows 10 or a Linux post 2016, Intel Core 2 Duo or AMD Athlon, 8 gigs RAM, Intel HD graphics 5500 or AMD Radeon R5 graphics, and 1.5 GB free space. Similar to Mac side: Mac OS 10.15 Catalina, Apple M1, 8 gigs RAM, 1.5 GB free space. Shouldn't have any trouble on it. Next up, Crisis in the Kremlin: The Cold War by Nostalgames. So this is a sequel to the 2017 remake of the 1991 original. Yes, really. Managed the USSR in the global political strategy game, and the elements like the economy, foreign relations, domestic policy, while dealing with real and fictional events. So let's have a look. So that is Crisis in the Kremlin, the Cold War, available for Windows, Mac, Linux, $7.99 US. System requirements: Windows 7 Service Pack 1, 10 or 11, or Ubuntu 18.04 or CentOS 7. CPU x86 or x64 architecture with SSE2 support. Shouldn't have to worry about that. I think like a vast majority of them would have that. 2 gigs RAM, DirectX 10, 11 or 12 capable, or OpenGL 3.2 or Vulkan capable GPU, and 1 GB free space. Next one, macOS 10.13 or Sierra, Apple Silicon or x64 architecture with SSE2 support. Again, you probably shouldn't have to worry about that. 2 gigs RAM, Metal capable GPU, 1 GB free space. Right here, Wordplay by Game Maker's Toolkit. This is a roguelite word puzzle game. Higher scores awarded for word length and letter value. There's a number of perks, modifiers, and upgrades to choose from. So let's have a look at the trial. So that's Wordplay. Windows and Mac, $7.99 US. System requirements, honestly, they're pretty low. Windows 7, Intel Core i5, 40 GB RAM, NVIDIA GeForce GTX 450, AMD Radeon HD 5750, 700 megabytes free space. On the Mac side, macOS 10.15 Catalina, Apple M1 or Intel Core M, 4 GB RAM, and 700 megabytes free space. So if you're watching this video, you'll be able to play it. That'd be the easiest way to say it. Alright, next up, Kaizen, a factory story by Coincidence. Design, build and optimize production of a variety of consumer products, such as cassette players, toy robots, and billet seats. With this puzzle automation game set in the late 1980s Japan. It was during the Kaizen era. It was quite an interesting time. Lasted about 5 years. So let's have a look.
Welcome to Matsuzawa Manufacturing Factory Number 1.
So, Kaizen, the factory story. Windows, Mac, Linux, $19.99 US. System requirements: Windows 10 or Ubuntu 10.10, 2 GHz CPU, 4 gigs RAM, NVIDIA GeForce GTX 970, or a graphics card with OpenGL 3.3. That's capable. 3 GB free space. Next side, Mac OS X 10.9 Mavericks, 2 GHz CPU, 4 GB RAM, 3 GB free space. Another one I wouldn't mind playing actually. Next up, The Drifter by Powerhoof. So this is a point-and-click pulp adventure thriller featuring a drifter who witnesses a murder, gets chased by some high-tech soldiers, and ends up in a time loop. There's some mature themes in this one, but it's well worth a look. And I'm a fan of the accents, so let's have a look.
I know what you're planning. I'm not gonna let you do it.
Security, he's back again. If you have something to say, you'd better make it quick.
Seen any strange men in all black tactical gear, night vision goggles?
No, I have not.
They're working for Trinity Biotech, abducting people.
You have a very active imagination.
I'm Sanjay. Welcome to the lab.
What's this about, Doc?
The very thing we're all here for. Mr. Carter and his ability to go back in time. To change things.
Luke, you can't keep running from the past.
You don't have to do this.
Mr. Carter will trigger the phaser. You will merely be along for the ride. But you should not dally.
Annie! Oh my god.
Make your decision.
Hey! We need help in here!
So that's the Drifter, Windows Mac Linux, $19.99 US. I know it looked a bit low quality at the end, but I checked it was the standard 1080p, so not sure what happened there. So system requirements: Windows 10 or Ubuntu 18.04 or CentOS 7, CPU x64 with SSE2 support, 4 gigs RAM, DirectX 10, 11 or 12 supported GPU, or OpenGL 3.2 or Vulkan supported, and 4 GB free space. Next slide, macOS 10.13 High Sierra, again x64 with SSE2 support, 4 GB RAM, metal capable GPU, 4 GB free space. Rightio, next up, The Necromancer's Tale by Psychic Software. So this is a narrative turn-based CRPG, computer RPG, about becoming a necromancer, slowly being corrupted by dark magic and by various books, while trying to maintain good relations with the townsfolk, trying not to show off, slowly becoming a villain. It's about 20 to 50 hours long. It depending on if you do the side quests or not, but it's worth a look. So let's have a look.
Your hubris will be your downfall, Necromancer.
If you have come to me in this manner, then you have found the book. For once, I am pleased with your impudence.
All in the name of science, my dear. All in the name of science.
Richard Carnell, advisor to the Baron.
I'm Marija from Niter, and this is...
Stanislav.
Lady Cornell.
Alexander Pope. I'm sure you know.
Undead sailors hauled themselves into the Venetian boats. Soldiers dragged themselves from battlefields and clawed up from shallow graves to drive the Venetians from the land.
So that's the Necromancer's Tale. That's for Windows and Mac, $24.99 US. System requirements: Windows 7, 10 or 11, Intel Core i5 7500 or AMD equivalent. It's a bit of an older one at this point, so you shouldn't have to worry about that. 8 gigs of RAM, Intel HD Graphics 620, and 5 GB of free space. Next side, macOS 10.13 High Sierra, Intel Core i3, 8 gigs RAM, metal capable GPU, and 5 GB of free space. So, yes, let's continue on. Demonic Mahjong by Books Lightning Games. This is a roguelike deck builder based on Mahjong with a number of tile variants, relics and spirit allies to help you take on bosses. It's done quite well actually. I think this was the second or third most reviewed game on my little list here. So let's have a look.
可算找到你了，又想偷懒吗？起来，打麻将。
小纸牌桌，忘川河西牌，捏金台，招牌银魂火电灯台，大四喜，小四喜，饮冰起喝彩，生死不伤，请进入我岗上花开。我的妈，我的妈，我的妈，我的妈，我的妈，我在地府打麻将。我的妈，我的妈，我的妈，我的妈，我的妈，我的妈，你们仰望着回家。牛头吃马面棚，孟婆为牌快，武昌小夜叉，闹鬼甩鞭炮来，连接对四安可判官把桌牌，森罗殿里13妖阎王，你看我听牌。我的妈，我的妈，我的妈，我的妈，我的妈，我在地府打麻将。我的妈，我的妈，我的妈，我的妈，我的妈，我的妈，你们仰望着回家。
来人，你的牌技能过本王这关吗？
So that's Demonic Mahjong. Platforms: Windows Mac, $16.99 US. System requirements: Windows 10, AMD Ryzen 5 5600 hex core, gigs RAM, NVIDIA GeForce GTX 1660 Ti, and 4GB free space. The Mac version, it was there. It's not at the moment. I'm not sure what the go is, but I'm including it for the time being anyway. So, yes, see how it goes, it's worth a look. The Wandering Village, another one I'd like to play. Developed by Fawn Studio, entered early access in September 2022. It's a city builder set on the back of a gentle giant wandering through the post-apocalyptic landscape with various weather effects and other events to overcome. It's a very pretty little thing. So, let's have a look.
Driven from our homes by the toxic spores, we kept wandering, looking for shelter. But not in our wildest dreams did we imagine what we would find. After all this time, we were given an opportunity. Together we will cross this vast poison wasteland. In search of a place yet untainted. Using everything we can find. To build a society that can protect and provide for all of us. Human and animal alike.
So that's The Wandering Village, available on a few platforms: Windows, Mac, Linux, PS4, PS5, Xbox One and Xbox X and S, and the Switch, $29.99 US. System requirements: Windows 7 or 10, or Ubuntu 18.04 or CentOS 7, quad-core CPU, 4 gigs RAM, NVIDIA GeForce GTX 660, AMD Radeon RX 460, and 2GB of free space. So it's not too bad. On the Mac side, macOS 10.13 High Sierra, quad-core CPU, 4GB RAM, metal-capable GPU, and 2GB free space. Another one I'd like to play. It's currently on sale at the moment as I record this. Next up, Magical Girl No Witch Trial by Acacia and Rare Air. Give me a second, let me have a bit of coffee. Now, this is a bit of an interesting one. It's currently not available in English. This was the best-selling game in Japan on Steam in July. So it's a visual novel / murder mystery about 13 teenage girls that wake up on an island prison, and they have to discover that each one of them is rich. Like I said, it's currently not in English, and there's also mature content warning, a bit of blood and gore. But it's done really, really well. I think this is the second highest most reviewed game on my list here. So let's go. So that is, I've already forgotten the name of it, to be honest. So it's available on Windows, Mac, Linux, $29.99 US. That was one of the Japanese crowdfunding game that did really well. So yes. So system requirements: Windows 10, dual core CPU, 6 gigs RAM, DirectX 11 capable GPU, 6 GB free space. Mac side, Mac OS 11 Big Sur, x64 CPU with SSD 2 support or Apple M1, 6 GB RAM, metal capable GPU, 6 GB free space. I think the core is currently doing a playthrough of it last time I checked, just a few days ago. So let's continue on. WolfQuest Anniversary Edition by eduweb. Entered early access in July 2019. So it's a wolf simulator set in and around Yellowstone National Park. You hunt prey, raise a family, protect them from predators with a dynamic day-night and weather system. And it also has co-op multiplayer and the hail button, all that kind of thing. So let's have a look. Hopefully the howling wasn't too loud there. So, platforms, Windows Mac, $29.99 US. System requirements, Windows 8, 10 or 11, 64-bit. Intel Core i5 CPU, 8GB RAM. Intel Iris 6 360 Pro, 630 Pro, which I haven't heard of actually, but anyway, and 28GB of free space. So it's a little bit on the larger side in terms of space. On the Mac side, Mac OS 10.13 i0, Intel Core i5 CPU, 8GB RAM, AMD Radeon Pro R9, and 20GB of free space. Now, next up, the last one, And Roger, by TearyHand Studio. This is a visual novel about a young girl who wakes up to a mysterious stranger in her house who wants her to take her medicine. This is an emotional short story going by the Steam reviews, about an hour and a half. So, yeah, let's have a look at the trailer. So that is And Roger, Windows and Mac, $4.99 US. System requirements, Windows 10, Intel Core i3 6100 or an AMD FX 8350, 8GB RAM, NVIDIA GeForce GTX 750 Ti. Yep, sorry, headset was slipping a bit. Or an AMD Radeon R7 360 and 1GB of free space. On the next side, macOS 10.15 Catalina, Apple M1 or Intel Core M CPU, 8GB of RAM, 1GB of free space. And yes, so that's the list for this month. So thank you for watching. I'll do a couple of shorts fairly in a couple of days, and yes, so I'll see you next month. So I'll just finish up here. Let me just